What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another one. So finally, a video like not too long after the first one went out. After all this time, it's being a little crazy, but I digress. Working on the truck today. My run actually got canceled this Thursday, so I brought it to the house, and I'm gonna start wiring up the lights and doing a couple of little things. I'm also gonna pre-wire everything for the air ride. That way, when I do the air ride, it'll be just a quick dirty, just the heavy stuff. But the wiring will be done, the air plumbing will be done, and at that point, it'll just be the hookup of the airbags themselves and everything. And I'll show you what the kit actually looks like now. Since the last time I purchased one, um, 12 gauge Customs is who actually makes it. They've actually done some improvement on the airbag itself, which I actually really like compared to what they used to be before. But anyway, so we're gonna put some watermelon lights on the truck. So these are actually found on Amazon. Because I'm gonna put them inside the truck, I'm not really too worried about water and stuff and getting to them. And not that the expensive ones that I had on the other trucks didn't go bad or anything like that. Diodes kept getting blown, whether it was outside and in the elements or whether they were inside. So I figured, what the hell, these are cheaper. It's just for interior lights. I figured I'd give them a try. Could very well be a decent product. What I've noticed with a lot of things over the years is companies that are just coming in and trying to make a name for themselves, they typically put on a much better product than what they're charging for it, because they want to get their name out there. Is this the case? I don't know. I'll actually show you guys the box of what the name is. But these are red to purple, and there's 4 wires here. So the white one is going to be your ground. The black one is going to be your running lights. The red one would be a brake light or a turn signal light if you were to hook it that way. And then the yellow one is actually the auxiliary for the auxiliary light. In this case, being purple, but it could be white, blue, what have you. The way that I'm going to the way that I'm going to hook this up is, I'm only going to hook up the black, which is the running light, instead of the brake light. So the running light would be a little bit dimmer, and the brake light would be, obviously brighter. And what I noticed with the Kenworth, the W9 that I put them on before, even the Classic before that, is the brake light option or the turn signal option. It is way too bright. Especially when you have, so what I'm going to put on this is I'm going to put 4 on top and I'm going to put 3 on the bottom. So 5 total lights, there's plenty of light, and I'm actually going to hook up the reds just to the dim portion. Obviously, I'm going to hook up the purple light as well. They'll be in 2 independent switches. So I'm going to have 2 switches for top, 2 switches for the bottom. Meaning it's going to be 1 switch for top red, 1 switch for top purple, 1 switch for bottom red, 1 switch for bottom purple. So I can run them independently if I wanted to. A lot of times when it was really dark outside, I didn't drive with them all on, so I would only leave the floor on. When it was pretty dark out, sometimes what it did was, all it does is it creates so much light inside the cab, and it gives you like it shines off the windshield and the glass and stuff, and it kind of impairs your vision outside. So that's the reason for having them separate. Red, obviously, is a lot more calming than purple is, and when you run red at a dim light, or like a dim setting, it's supposed to be pretty calming on the eyes, and for you as well, from what I've read. And the reason why I started reading about a lot of this stuff is because I had blue, if you guys remember, on the W900. And there's a lot of people that started commenting about the blue light and how it affects your eyes at night and such. So I'm like, well, hell, it's usually when there's smoke there's fire. So I started digging into it on my own, and sometimes even haters can give you a really good information. So, and I'm not saying they were all haters, I really am not. But so that's why I decided to actually you know, kind of dig into it, and I did find out that blue actually does hurt your eyes and your vision at night, and red is supposed to be the more calming of the two choices. So I got a switch box. This is just off of Amazon. You know, you hook up power and ground, and then on each individual, the exposed one is actually where the power out would be. So you connect the power to whatever, you know, appliance you're using. So I'm going to take this from the actual CB radio circuit, because it's actually a decent size one, and then I'm going to put a fuse in line with this. That way, if something happens to this, it's just this and this fuse that messes up, and not the CB. And what I like, that is actually an ignition source. But the way that I'm going to wire it is it'll be wired off of a relay. So it'll come straight from, you know, the battery with a thicker wire, and then the relay is going to be used just so that power from the CB just turns on that relay. So it'll be a more powerful circuit. So, and it you know, protects wiring and shit like that. But anyway, as far as mounting this, I'm going to mount this right over here. This piece, there's nothing behind it, and I'll show you. This thing actually comes out. Because I've had to take it out for the CB, and as long as I stay within right here, which I can, this is fine back here, and there's nothing there. So what I'll do is I'll muck it up so the edges of it come right up here, and it seems like it's almost perfect as far as the size is concerned. So I think that'll fit on there really, really nicely. And then, so I got these Iowa Customs plates. I ordered these from 4-State Trucking, or 4-State Trucks, I'm sorry. And so there's versions of these where you can order them with a hole here for a switch. But this one, I got, you know, just no holes or nothing, since I'm going to run my own switches and stuff. So, you know, this mounts like so. And, you know, obviously there's a bezel that goes up here and stuff like that. So that's the way this is going to be ran. And this will fit actually really, really nicely right over here where these guys have already, you know, messed this thing up right there. And these, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat them up a little bit and then push them in to close those holes, instead of just taking a cutter and just like cutting through them. You know, those should be good. So for up here, this I'm actually going to cut in half, and then the straight portion of it I'm going to put in that edge right there, and then the round one will be up here, and then I'll put the light right there. So I'll put one on this side, one on that side, and I'm doing the same thing on the bottom. On the bottom, I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do one on the passenger side, one under here, and then one underneath the driver's side. And then also, put this down here so I don't scratch anything. I also got a gauge. This is just a ISS Pro, just an analog gauge for air. And what I'm going to do with this is, so this is for the front air ride. I'm going to mount this here like that. What I'm going to do is I'm either going to spray this in tan, or I might just wrap it in purple, and I might just spray it in tan. But it'll be mounted like this. You know, it'll be out of my way, and it'll be just pointing up for the air gauge. Now I would have mounted this, you know, here as well. The problem is this thing's a little too big. It protrudes out. It looks like crap on the other side. And even the aftermarket one that you can get for like the A-pillars that you can put on cars and stuff, that's made for like a shallower angle A-pillar like, you know, cars are, than in semi trucks where it's more vertical. And then another thing that I had was I could have put it right there, but it'll be too close to stuff, and I don't, you know, I don't like it there. So I think I'm gonna go with that down there. I think it'll look pretty good. Another one was here, but you know, that would have meant that I had to you know, block that off to be able to mount this up. So like I said, I think I'm just gonna do that right there and be done with it. So let me go and show you guys what the lights and all that shit looks like. So this is the next day. Actually, couldn't do much last night. I'm just getting around to painting this little pod that I want to put for the air gauge. So I cleaned it with alcohol, and I found this thing to, you know, shove it in, so to speak. Haha. So I cleaned it with alcohol, but because I dropped it just now, I handled it again, so I got to clean it one more time. And I found this 2x4 to shove that in. And then I got me some vinyl and fabric paint. Shaky, shaky. I don't know. I never sprayed this vinyl stuff, so I'm just gonna go light and then just build it up from there. That was good enough for the first coat. Now this stuff does dry pretty quickly. And then once this is sprayed, I'm just gonna leave it to dry until I'm, you know, honestly, until I'm ready to actually install it. There's no point of handling it. And all this overspray is going to the camera. Great. That's actually turning out pretty good. I like it. Alright, so these I cut. Jesus Christ. They got me right in the eye. So I'm just going to mount them. Now this is the end of the cabinets. That's the flat part. That's where it ends and starts going vertical. I'm going to mount it like right on it, and then mount the light right on there. So these are done. I just got to drill 2 more holes right there so I can secure this to the cabinet, to the plastic. And then the 2 other ones are just going to be for the, you know, watermelon light itself. Here's what I did with this stupid thing. I ended up mounting it. The light I replaced with a purple. The paint came out pretty good. I like it. So the wire I just extended, I'm just going to hook this up to the dash lights. I'll just find a positive, you know, turn on lead that turns on when you turn on the lights, and I'll hook it up to that. And then I got a little 90 here for the airline, for the 1/4-inch airline. Now, at least on this truck, I don't know about other trucks, but I want to show you guys a trick. And there is a lot of trucks that have this, but so right where these lines go in, there's empty ones here, and the top ones right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but have these little plugs. So what you can do is you can remove one of those plugs to the size that you want, and then you remove the plug on this side, and then you just connect the wire on this side, you connect the wire on this side. There's no need to actually go through the firewall or anything like that. And what I'm doing that for is for the gauge for the front air ride. So the solenoid itself, this air solenoid, I mounted right up here. So that's where the gauge goes. And then this one is going to go to this bag, that one is going to go to the other bag, and then this one is going to be the air that comes from the tank. And these are all labeled, you guys. And then this one is the exhaust. So it's EXH for exhaust, and then you have an in here, and then you have a out. And then it actually says on their bag, so you can't really screw that up. I just secured it up here, so I drilled 2 holes, and instead of just putting nuts here, there are holes like this. I tapped that hole, ran the bolt, and then put a nut over it just to be on the safe side, just to be a little bit more secure. As far as the wiring is concerned, so here's what I did with the front here. So this is the wire that comes from that side. Here it splits into 2, comes up here, which is going to be the light for this side. And then from here it's going to piggyback, and it's going to go all the way up through the A-pillar here, up through the dash, and all the way up top there to the switches up top for the bottom. And like I said earlier, there's going to be 4 switches together. 2 switches are going to be for red, 1 upper, 1 lower. 2 switches are going to be for purple, 1 upper, 1 lower. That way I can run them independently of one another, if, you know, depending on how light it is outside and if I'm parked or if I'm driving. Well, day 3, haven't had a chance to, you know, work on it non-stop, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer than I would care, but it is what it is. So today I'm actually going through and wiring the switches for the air ride. So this is just a Kenworth, you know, factory switch. They're on the T680s, 579 Pete's. I don't know if they use them in any other Kenworth or Peterbilt trucks, I'll be honest with you. But so I found these used on Vanderhaag's, and ordered them at Kenworth. They weren't cheap, so I said forget about it, I'll just go get them used. So the theory for this is going to be the same as I've done with every single air ride I've ever installed in any single truck. I always do a master on and off switch, and then I do an up and down, right? So this is going to be the on and off. It's just a cruise on and off, and I'm using the same thing. So on, off, and that's going to be the master switch. Meaning, you know, the other up and down switch, if this is not on, it's not going to function. Why do I do it that way? I have no idea. I've just always done it that way. But it's just one of those things where, you know, you turn it completely off. Or maybe there's no power going to the switch or anything, and it, you know, just maybe safety. I don't know. But I'm going to do a fuse in line for, obviously, for this and for the lights, the interior lights that I'm installing. But what you're going to need is a multimeter, and put it on the continuity setting, which is a setting right there. And what this tests is pretty much if the circuit is open or closed. So let's say a circuit is open, meaning it's not connected. You touch these two to whatever, it's just going to stay out of limits here. But if the circuit is closed and it's all linked and you touch, you're going to hear that. So you could have, you know, a wire that's 10 miles long, and as long as you have the 2 leads here and you touch them, because it's all connected, you'll hear that. If you don't, If it's, you know, cut somewhere or disconnected somewhere, then all you're going to hear is nothing. You're just going to see out of limits. So that's my theory for testing the switch. So I just went one by one. You know, like for example, I went to this, get it onto the on position, go and test it, nothing, and go on to the next, and so on and so forth. But what I ended up doing was I did find the 2. So when the switch is off, nothing happens. But when I flip it on, you hear the sound because the circuit is now closed. So what this is going to be is this is going to be the in for the power, and then the out. This is going to go to, where the hell is the other switch? All right, to this switch, which is just the cruise control up and down function. All right, and I found out with this kind of the same way. So by testing all of them, I found out the center is in, so that's where the power is going to come in from that switch. And then this is going to be down. And then this, whoops. See, I knew that beer belly was going to come in handy one day. And this is up. So the function is, so when you press this up, it's going to send a signal to the air solenoid valve that's mounted on the truck to let air into the system, meaning into the airbags, thus rising it up. And then this, it'll open the dump side of it, so it'll let all the pressure out. So that's easy enough for these. And like I said earlier, I wanted to keep them, you know, keep them stock. And you know, obviously on mine, because I had the smart wheel, I had to relocate the cruise controls on the steering column cover or the shroud. And then these are just going to go on the dash, so it's not like it's going to be, you know, two sets of 2. So that'll be decent there. Finish the lights, just a quick rundown, and then up top there, I'll turn everything on once I clean all my damn tools and stuff. But once I have, or because I have all this thing taken apart, I figured I'd show you how I ran the feed or the air line for the air ride. So there's the tanks, the 2 tanks on mine. So I removed one of these plugs right here. So that one down there, replaced it with that connector that's actually supplied with the 12 gauge air ride kit. And then ran the half-inch air line there, up here through the chassis. And then comes out here in the engine. And I just put split loom, like wire loom around it, just in areas where it was actually going to touch something, just in case it doesn't get chafed if it vibrates. But it's zip tied in there pretty damn well. So it goes up here, and then it comes up here for the feed line. This right here, which is right over here, is just the exhaust. So when you air it up and when you dump it, that's where the air releases from. So those are the 2 solenoids. One's for up, one's for down, obviously. So one's to let air in, one's to let air out. This is where the gauge connects, the air line for the gauge, for the pressure. And then the airbags, one is going to go right here, and then the other one's go right there. So this one will come here, follow these, go on the frame, and then it'll get mounted where the airbag is going to get mounted on the inside. And then the other one from there, I'm just going to use grommets, rubber grommets, to hold it in place, run it all the way to the other side, back of the cab there, or the firewall there, and then all the way down to the other airbag. So I'm making progress. I just found out actually Tuesday my damn run got canceled, so I may actually have time to do this on Tuesday. But we'll see where I finish up and what I have left at that time. Here we go. So the purple light is just the gauge for the air ride when it's hooked up. So this is just, you know, no lights at all. And then that's the top, just the bottom. Both actually turn out pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy with it. And then there's a purple, nice and bright. Absolutely love that. And there's just the top. And then it's just the bottom. Oh, yeah, so probably to drive with, I would say the bottom red or the top red. It's actually pretty calming. It's pretty dim, and that's the reason why I told you guys at the beginning of the video that I was going to hook up just the running light portion, and not the brighter option, which would be, you know, either brake light or turn signal light and that sort of thing, and that would be pretty bright. And to drive with at night, it kind of be maybe too bright in here, a bit of a pain in the butt. Eventually I want to kind of tint the windows as well, so with tint it gets even more reflection, and I definitely don't want that. But this is actually, you know, pretty calming. Yeah, I could get used to this. Definitely get used to this. Yeah, see the purple, it's pretty bright. You know, even if it's just the bottom, I mean, it's definitely brighter than the red. All right, so let's shut these damn things off and get some actual light in this bitch. Oh man, I am tired, you guys. Holy shit. It's been a long day. Been a really long day. So as you saw in the video, the air ride is pretty much plumbed and hooked up as far as the functionalities is concerned. Obviously I still got to do the bulk of the job, which is going to be the airbags themselves. So I don't know if this picks it up from the mic. So that's going to be the master switch for the air ride, and then you actually hear the air hissing out, you know, where you would go into the airbags, but obviously because it's not hooked up, you know, it just releases out. And then when you go to drop them, let the air out, you could hear the solenoid click, but because there's no air in the system, meaning there's no bags there that are full, and there's nothing, you know, obviously no pressure to release. So when that thing is off, obviously that switch is dead. And then those are the 4 switches for the light. So I kept them to, you know, top, bottom, bottom. So these two, top, bottom, red, and then these two, top, bottom, purple. And then the steering wheel I did replace with a 14-inch Forever Sharp. This one I have the button delete here, or the horn delete, because the horn, it's hooked up on the side here with just a little button. It's, you know, this thing is covering it, so you can't really see it, but Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go home, take a shower, and go to bed. Relax a little bit. You guys have a happy Memorial weekend. Be safe out there. Be mindful of what you're doing. If you're drinking, don't get behind the wheel. Never a good idea. But anyway, honestly, you guys, from the bottom of my heart, I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all of us that have kept us safe and keep us safe on a daily basis and respond to our needs. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.